G'day everyone, Duckville here bringing you another game from a very, very high quality Australian player. Starting at the top right hand side of Cloud Kingdom is our blue Zerg here. It is Team Immunity's Mafia. He is of course a player who's going to be competing at Australia WCS coming up in August, the weekend of August the 10th. I'm going to be up there. I'm going to be saying hello to everybody that I can. Of course, Tastosis is going to be casting. It's going to be insanely fun. And hopefully everyone can tune in on the stream. And you know, you can see some of these great players we have here in the Australian scene. Perhaps become a bit of a fan. I would love it if some of you guys, especially obviously if you're overseas, became a bit of a fan of some of these players. We obviously have some very high-class Zerg players, but along with that, we've got some Protoss and Terrans as well. Not everyone is a Zerg here on the C server, as everyone seems to think. It's very close, but not 100% Zergy down here in Australia. But anyway, his opponent, this is taken from the TSL 4 qualifiers, I believe it is a really good Protoss player who has been really impressive over time. He hasn't necessarily won every single thing in the land, but he has done quite well regardless. It is mouzHasu Obs. And he's just going to start down here in the yellow, going for a very standard forge, fast, expand. Just poking around with his probe, just seeing if he can draw some of those drones off the mineral line, but does see that the spawning pool is going down first for Mafia. So hopefully you guys will learn, as I said, a little bit about how Mafia plays. He's obviously a fantastic player. He's GM on the Korean server, which you know, means he's probably pretty good. I heard that's a pretty good place to play on, and if you're in the GM ranks, that means you're extra good. And he's not going to bother with trying to take that natural expansion down to the side. He's going to head straight up to where it normally is the third base, puts the hatch down, and should be nice and safe here. But Hasu, is he going to do something fishy? He is indeed. The forge is already halfway done. A probe has started off with that pylon straight away, and we'll see if Mafia is going to be able to defend against this. He should be fine. The big thing about this particular placement of a cannon, which we'll see in just a second, wait for it, 1, 2, 3, is that this is, with the change to queens, the queen can actually hit that from up here. So if Mafia can get a queen out, which is already halfway done, he should be fine. In fact, I doubt that anything will be lost unless this Overlord gets a little bit adventurous and tries to head across to the side, unless Hasu puts down another cannon somewhere and perhaps a pylon. And in fact, he is going to. So this one's obviously a little bit more exposed if a few lings come out, which they are seemingly going to do. There they come. And there's already a couple down on the bottom of the map already, just taking out that pylon. And Mafia is going to have to get rid of this cannon as soon as he can, or in fact just cancel his hatchery that he was going to get started. Very interesting. So Hasu has got a cannon and a pylon here, which is... they're a deterrent at the moment. They won't that's not going to be there too long, because Mafia should be able to take that down. But he has forced Mafia to delay his natural expansion. The third has been taken down at this side, and we'll see if Hasu is going to be wise enough to check down that bottom side. But he is going to put down another cannon. Meanwhile, back at home for Hasu, the wall is pretty much complete. The gateway is up. The Nexus is over halfway done. Going to grab both of his gas here as well, and continue to chrono boost his probes out as much as he can, because that'll put him in a very nice spot. And Hasu continuing on with his cannon shenanigans, putting another one down at the natural. Has Mafia seen this? No, he hasn't. There is a queen coming down. She should be able to get there in time to help out, but with two cannons there, I don't know, man. This is going to be a little bit interesting to see how Mafia deals with this. We do have a few drones coming down to the natural expansion. We'll see if they're going to help out, or perhaps, nope, they're actually going to go down to the third. So here we go. The cannon, one of the cannons completing. This is going to mean that the Queen is going to have a hard time actually taking all of these out. 3 cannons is quite a lot to deal with, and drones coming across, not perhaps the best way to deal with that from Mafia, but he does have the third he can send them to, so we'll probably see him go down there. And Hasu was looking to try and take out the cannon at this top side, but he's definitely not going to be able to do that. So lots of cannon pressure here at the natural expand today from Hasu. 3 of them down. He's going to be able to take that hatchery down. I don't think there's a way to deal with that at all very efficiently, but he does have a few lings out, so we will see if he's going to be able to put some of the pressure back on. But a Zealot now coming across the map. The being micro quite nicely here by Hasu. Is he going to be able to get a kill? Beautiful micro from Mafia. In fact, only 1 ling was lost in that whole engagement. That is quite impressive. But Hasu has done the damage he needed to do. He's taken this expansion out, but the third down at the southern side, southern right side, is already done. So what is Mafia going to do? He's only just getting his gases now. He does have a drone count sitting up at 31, so he's not behind at the moment, but he's not in the most fantastic position given that he has lost that natural expand, and he's going to have a little bit of trouble trying to resupply that natural, as it were. But the probe now coming across finds the third base has been up for a little while and knows that he's not exactly in the most easy winning position. Nice little micro battle here from both players. Mafia with 2 Lings sitting here on a very low HP. Nicely micro by both of the guys there to keep obviously the Zealot alive as long as possible, and then get that that Ling to get the hit when it all went down. But Hasu, what's he going to do? Stargate players on the way. We got the Stargate over halfway done. A couple more units will probably pop out for him. He's got extra gateways just going up now, so we'll find out if it is going to be some perhaps some pressure at this third base. I would not be surprised if that is the plan here from Hasu. He does have a Stalker just poking out on the map. Going to have a little bit of a look-see at this third base. Going to be able to take down that Queen, no trouble. Or perhaps there will be some trouble because the second Queen comes along. Stalker of course have a lot more trouble trying to kite queens these days, especially when you're on creep, because of that range increase. The Stalkers still outrange the queens. The queens have obviously that range of 5, and the Stalkers have a range of 6, but of course it's a very, very minimal sort of change to how you can sort of the availability to kite, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. And Mafia, wow, going for the Hydra Den. Knows that there is something in the air that's going to cause him some trouble. The Overlord is going to find firsthand what that is. It is a Void Ray, so a Spore Crawler or 2 may not go astray here for Mafia. In fact, he's not going to be able to do that at all because he is going to get those Hydras out as quickly as he can. But still sort of waiting to see what's going to happen at this base, because we've got this third base, which is totally it's much freer to take now that there's just that one cannon there. But it looks as if Hasu is going to go for a very sort of standard attack here. We've got 5 gates done, Void Rays are out, and this is going to mean that Hasu is going to put on a lot of pressure here at the third. What is he going to be able to do? Because there are a lot of Lings out on the map. If the Lings find these pylons, and yes they will, there they go, they should be able to deal with the units that warp in, but there are some Zealots just coming in now. They do not have any upgrades just yet. Their +1 is still slightly further away, so Mafia gonna have to use these Hydras to defend as best as he can. Of course, the Hydra's fantastic when there is some creep around it, as long as there's something to tank the extra units on the ground. And Hasu perhaps caught out a little bit by the fact that those Hydras were taken very quickly by Mafia, and now there is a lot of Hydras out on the map, so we'll find out if something there is going to change. But a pylon is going to be... Ooh, it's not actually going to be close enough, but is there room for him to put another one down? I don't think so, because the power range... yeah, it's not really going to be a position he can put another pylon down in, but he will be able to put perhaps some extra proxy pylons down. Just having a look at what's going on here, the Phoenix does spot a random Overlord that's just sitting out in the open, going to try and take that one down as quickly as he can. Meanwhile, Hydra slowly lurching their way across the map. Of course, Hasu is not in a position to take his third base just yet because of that very large army of Lings that are out, and then the Hydra's knocking on his front door. And in fact, speaking of which, Hasu has no real way to deal with the Hydras. He does have a robotics facility here, but there is no robotics support bay, and Mafia is just going to try and go for it. He's got the Lings at the front trying to tank some of that damage, but the Hydras doing as much as they can, trying to get rid of the cannons as best as possible. Forge goes down. 2 cannons are the only things left here to defend, apart from the gateway units that Hasu has prepared. And here we go. Lings stuck at the back, not the best way to position them, but the Hydra's being forced into a position here by the force fields of Hasu, which are not too bad, but there is so much that Hasu has to fend off here, and with the Void Rays coming back, they're going to be targeted down by the Hydras. There we go, one does go down, the second having to retreat for the time being, so Mafia, very, very precarious position that he was in, is going to try and take advantage of it as best as possible. Looks like Hasu is just totally unprepared for a Hydra attack. Of course, with no Colossi or Storms, you're going to have a very hard time defending against Ling Hydra, but it is the way that he has decided to deal with it. Immortal on the way, not going to help too much. Extra gate, and the robotic support bay is just about to finish up here. So the question is Mafia going to just attack up into this position? while he does have a really good force down here with these Hydras and along with those extra Lings that are down on the ground, I don't think he can really just sort of smash up into this position here and sort of bulldog his way up the ramp. But back at home for Mafia, he's got a Zealots just attacking into the third base here. There are 2 exposed hatcheries, and looks as if the Void Ray is actually going to head across. Where is this Void Ray going to? I'm not exactly sure, but it looks as if some more warp ins from Hasu. He's going to try and attack into the main base here. Spots the infestation pit. Extra hatchery being built. Evo chambers as well. Looks like Hasu is going to do some return damage of his own. Mafia has taken a third base, which is over across to the side. This is possibly the weirdest game you will ever see in terms of which bases the players take. But looks like Mafia is going to lose one of his queens. The Hydra's coming back to help defend. The Void Ray was not taken down. And I just want to point out, we mentioned in another cast how great Mafia's creep spread is. With all of this pressure going on, he's spread out into the middle, across almost up to what is normally the fourth base, and he's going to be in a position where he'll have really good reinforcement capabilities. But finally, he's finally going to take down the cannons and the pylon here at what is normally the natural expand, and going to leave himself able to take that. The Hydras, where are they sitting? They're trying to come back in to reinforce this attack here. The Void Ray is going to have to get out of there as quickly as possible, and it looks like he will. Going to come back across here. There is 1 queen left here, and a lot of Lings now popping out for Mafia. So not sure if he's perhaps going to try and just go for an attack here. Just looking at the upgrades, I don't think he's going to want to go for it just yet. Going to wait for 9 Infestors to pop out, and there are some of those guys. Look at these little slugs, like those things in Starship Troopers that shoot up in the air. They're pretty crazy. Back at home for Hasu. What's he got going? He's going to try and reinforce this wall here, putting up a couple of pylons so he can possibly get some gateways down again. And he does have the Colossus tech now, so he's not as exposed to those Hydras, which were a massive threat just before. And with 1 Colossus out, a second is going to obviously help out a lot more. But he's in... I don't know, it's sort of hard to say exactly that he's in a really sort of bad spot, but he's sort of, he's going to have to take his third very soon. Of course, as we can see here, the work account looking very sort of unfortunate for Hasu at the moment. He's on 46 probes at the moment to the 54 of Mafia. Of course, 54 is not a normal number you'll see on 3, almost 4 bases, but given what's going on in this game, it's hard to sort of say what is normal. But the Infestors, the Hydras, the Lings also just poking around the map, trying to see what damage they can cause. One of the Void Rays caught out of position with the creep on the ground. The Hydras should have a free time taking care of that, and they do indeed. The Observer, spotting all, sees that there is quite a large number of Infestors on the ground. So looks like Hasu now going to attack into the third base. Well, I suppose we'll call it the third base here from Mafia. Going to lose, he loses quite a few of his drones, and it looks like the Zealots are going to have to do a lot of damage, and they do indeed. They do have +1, so the Lings are freely able to deal with, the Zealots are easily able to deal with those Lings, but now 2 Colossi on the way. Is Mafia going to be able to hold this? No, he is definitely not. With the reinforcement pylon up to the side, he's got all sorts of units that are going to stream in here, and I think Hasu needs to be very careful with how far he proceeds now. We've got a lot of Lings on the ground. Of course, there are some, there are these 2 Colossi which really help out. There are a few Zealots left on the ground, but it's sort of going to depend on where Hasu decides to engage, or if he's going to retreat back home. But for the moment, he's just going to clear out some of this creep, which I think is a very good idea. He really doesn't want to let Mafia spread all his creep down to the other side of the map, because then that means that Mafia gets another free queen. But it looks as if the battle is going to rage here regardless. Colossi at the back doing a lot of damage to the Roaches and the Lings are trying to bust through. The fungal growth well positioned on top of most of these units here. Mafia trying to just establish his dominance on the high ground, but the Colossi far too powerful. The Infestor's getting taken down. A good fungal growth, and in fact, Mafia may actually just, he cleans up the rest of these units. The Roaches and these infested Terrans doing as much damage as they could, which was seemingly quite a lot. Meanwhile, back at home for Mafia, there are some Zealots inside the main base. Hasu trying to take down what he can. Queen being lifted up by a random Phoenix that's inside the base, and the drone's going to get out of there because they don't want to hang around while there are these sorts of guys inside their home. I'll tell you what, I would not want to hang around if there was a Zealot inside my house as well. But while all this is going on, Hasu has fully walled off. He's so all in at the moment that it is actually scary. If you wanted to put a bet down, you would say that he has put every single chip inside the table, and I think he knows that because he can see there are a lot of roaches now just popping out for Mafia. He's got a total of 32 roaches out on the map. There are some forces down here for Hasu, but he's lost those powerful Colossi. He had an Immortal in the mix as well, and with all of those gone, he is going to be in a lot of trouble. He's going to try and get some sentries in here to help out with force fields, which will no doubt mean that the roaches will be kept back for a little bit, but he is still in such a precarious position. And with the Spire on the way, where is the Spire? I just sort of guessed that it was at that spot, but here it is. The Spire at the natural expand for Mafia is going to have some Mutalisk, not to mention the Broodlord potential available to him. Of course, he will need to, he's got the Hive done, but now attacking into what would normally be a third base by this stage of the game. Keep in mind, we are 21 minutes into the game, but Mafia is got a big stranglehold on this one right now. As long as he's denied this third base of Hasu, he keeps himself in such a firm position here. He's actually going to try and take the top left one, which is very daring. I'm sort of impressed that Hasu wants to try and take that. He does have to do something. He's in such a bad position that he needs to take some sort of risk if he wants to try and somehow claw this game back. But Mafia, with a lot of roaches, we've got even more drones just about to pop out here. He has been quite drone light for quite a lot of this game. Of course, there have been multiple Zealot attacks going on around the map, but he's now just boosting that up a little bit. The Colossi, the Stalkers, all these guys are trying to come find a good spot. One of the Infestors gets lifted up, but there is so much damage here despite some really nice force fields keeping back quite a lot of Mafia's forces. With these Colossi now getting attacked by the Roaches and the Infested Terrans. That is going to be it, and everything goes down for Hasu, and he has to GZ. Not every day you see that, but or perhaps that's a Gratz. I don't know, but either way, Mafia starting out with a very weird game with the double cannon rush on both expansions. Had to expand down to the south, went for a Hydraling based combination to try and come back and cripple Hasu as best as he could. Did a good job, and then was able to macro up and hit that very nice Roach Infestor mix, which helped him clean up the rest of Hasu's army. So great game, very unorthodox in a way, but very cool to see. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching these two play. Of course, please be sure to tune in to the Australian WCS Nationals taking place on the 11th of August, and I'll be there in the crowd. I'll try and wave, and you can see me there and everything, but I hope you all had fun. I'll catch you all next time. Cheers.